to the point, remember, there was a lot of talk today about this kind of fleet of B-2 bombers. It was reported flying towards Guam, west. And then you have to think, well, why would they be flying west? Jennifer Griffin reporting this. The mission followed reports, of course, of 6 B-2s taking off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri around midnight last night. While initial chatter suggested the aircraft were headed west toward Guam, Jennifer Griffin noted the true flight path was likely east, directly toward Iran, in what appears to have been a calculated deception. How much did that throw Iran off guard?
Well, I will say this. The art of war is deception, and misdirection. And this was very well done. It was, they said they're going west. I actually, I was sitting there doing the math. I'm like, you don't really gain much by forward deploying our bombers to Guam. And by the way, I should mention, I've been to Guam a lot. I've been on Anderson Air Force Base. I've seen the hangars where the B-2s are stored. I mean, I'm very familiar with that. But the math just doesn't support it. The only thing you really gain out of it is that if you're going to do a really long-range mission out of Guam, you don't get anything in terms of range. But if you're doing a long-range mission, you may not have to overfly some places that you otherwise would have to overfly, which is kind of important when you're doing long-range bomber missions. But there wasn't a whole lot that was gained from doing that. Now, what we're certainly seeing is they said, hey, we're going to Guam. Now, Guam is known to host B-2s. They have a facility to do so. They have a big hangar and stuff. So that would make sense, to say, okay, they're going to Guam, because that is the one place we acknowledge where we could actually put B-2s other than Whiteman Air Force Base. So it's, it's like, okay, but it was complete misdirection. They had launched. They can't really cover up the fact they've launched. I mean, literally, you could sit outside the base and watch them launch. So you can't really cover that part up, operationally speaking. But where they're going, once they get in the air, once they get at altitude, they're stealth bombers. You can't see them at night. They can change course and go another direction, which obviously they did. And so this was all part of, operational tactical deception. The other thing, too, which you and I have talked about quite a bit, was the language that was being used. Within 2 weeks. That's what the president said. Within 2 weeks. That's what the White House was saying, within 2 weeks, which the Iranians heard, oh, great, we got 2 weeks. And some were saying, and nobody was wanting to disabuse them of that, because nobody was going to say exactly when they're going to do it.
Yeah.
But if you want to believe 2 weeks, you can. So the Iranians, I think, were pretty much caught off guard. They didn't expect this to happen when it happened, which is, if you're doing a big military strike, that's what you want. So, it was very, I got to tell you, I'm with you. This was very well executed, very well done. They achieved what they were trying to achieve, which is they caught the Iranians off guard. And of course, the airspace has to be completely coordinated with the Israelis. So, you knew that was going to have to be a very integrated sort of approach regardless. By the way, I would mention the Israelis also hit the F-14s. All right. So now, look, Iran doesn't have much in the way of fighter aircraft, and those F-14s are really old. They can't do much. But these are B-2 bombers. Their whole thing is stealth. And if an F-14 was to get in the air, was to find some way to get into proximity of a B-2 bomber, there is a potential threat that they could pose. Well, the Israelis took that off. They eliminated that. So there was a coordinated piece with the Israelis on this. It wasn't just us. The Israelis did something in coordination with this.
Okay. Hal Kemper, we're going to leave it at that. We always appreciate your insight, especially on this historic occasion. Hal, thanks so much. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, back out live there to the White House. I want to put up this map so you can get a sense of the bunker bomb strategy there. So you just heard the president saying that Iran's key nuclear sites were, quote unquote, completely and fully obliterated by U.S. strikes. Trump made the comments you just heard at the White House tonight, hours after announcing the U.S. military had carried out strikes against 3 key nuclear facilities in Iran. The president also warned Tehran against carrying out retaliatory attacks against the U.S., saying Iran has the choice between peace or tragedy. So this is a breaking news update, as you know. Also, Iran's nuclear agency on Sunday, it's Sunday in Iran, confirming attacks took place on its Fordo, Isfahan, and Natanz atomic sites, but is insisting that its work will not be stopped. The Atomic Energy Organization of Iran issued that statement after President Trump announced the American attack on the facilities here. So there is confirmation from Iran that there was actual targets that were struck by the United States. Their state-run news agency, IRNA, reported early Sunday the attacks targeted the country's Isfahan and Natanz nuclear sites. The IRNA quoted an individual by the name of Akbar Salehi, that's Isfahan's deputy governor in charge of security affairs, saying there had been attacks around the sites, though he did not elaborate. Another official confirmed an attack targeting Iran's underground Fordo nuclear site here. So in the meantime, we do want to bring in more voices to the conversation, including my friend there at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, David Dawood. He's going to join us in just a moment here. All right, like I said here, David Dawood joining me. We are in full breaking news coverage here. We want to thank everyone for watching on this very late Saturday night. David, thanks for joining us on this late Saturday night, but it's a historic occasion, a historic, momentous occasion here. I'm going to ask a simplistic question that may sound somewhat glib and simplistic to viewers. Has the United States ever struck targets inside Iran? Have we ever used military force inside the country of Iran?
No, not to this extent. There was Operation Eagle Claw, which was meant to rescue American hostages that were held by affiliates of the government of Iran after the revolution. That unfortunately failed. The hostages were not rescued. They were released upon the President Reagan taking office. But this is unprecedented for the United States to have struck Iran at all internally and definitely in this manner.
So, David, I have to ask this, and maybe this is unanswerable right now. I mean, President Trump did say Iran's nuclear program is completely obliterated after tonight here. How will we know that? Will we have, people on the ground who can confirm that? Yes, the president is saying that here, but as far as Iran's nuclear program, where does it stand right now? What phase is it in? Is it completely decimated, like the president says, or is it too early to know?
Well, right now I'd say it's too early to know. The Iranians themselves are saying that the fissile material was moved out of the facilities prior to the strikes, or much earlier than the strikes they were claiming. Now, look, is that true? Is that a face-saving claim so they can walk down the de-escalatory ladder? Right now, these strikes put them in a position where they may have to respond in some fashion. They've been threatening to attack U.S. assets and U.S. personnel for some time if any strike by the United States occurred in Iran. Now it's time for them to put their figurative money where their mouth is, and they may not want to do that because there will be consequences. As President Trump said, you attack us, we're going to keep attacking back. So it may be that this is their way, claiming that the fissile material was moved to be able to walk this back and not follow through on these threats. It may be true. I think time will tell more so than anything. We have the intelligence that the Israelis were able to gather on location of these sites, nuclear scientists. I mean, obviously that's going to be put into play to figure out what the state of Iran's nuclear weapons program, its nuclear program period, but particularly its nuclear weapons program is after these strikes. But that may take some time to make that full assessment.
I mean,